there is an incredibly high chance that your ego is ruining your dating life. In this video, I'm going to explain why that is and give you a bunch of practical exercises to help you destroy your ego. Your ego is essentially your self-perception. It's the story you're telling yourself of who you are and who you are not. Someone with a big ego tends to be full of themselves. They have an inflated sense of self-importance. A big ego will often tell you that you're too good to take part in certain activities, even ones that will help you. Someone with a big ego tends to refuse help from other people. And interestingly enough, men with big egos tend to be afraid to approach women because they have built this image of themselves in their head that they're fantastic with women, they've got amazing game, they can get any girl they want. And that image feels so good that they would rather not risk hurting that image of themselves by not approaching the girl, rather than actually approaching the woman, giving themselves the chance of getting the girl. You'll probably see this a lot when you try to convince your friends to learn games. They'll go something like, ha 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 ha, learning games for losers, I don't need that. Meanwhile, they've called twice from a nightclub in their entire lives. Now here's the thing that a lot of people don't know, it's also possible to have a small ego. Okay, the small ego man is someone who lacks self-esteem. His ego will tell him not to accept help from other people because he feels like he's beyond help and there's nothing he can do to improve. And guess what? A man with a small ego is unlikely to approach a woman because he feels there is no chance of that beautiful woman in the cocktail dress ever even wanting to hear what he has to say. Now, in our experience of coaching, the best guys who improve a game really fast are the men with no ego. A man with no ego pretty much just lives his life and goes after the things he wants and does the things that he has to do to get them without questioning whether he's good enough. When he's approaching a girl, he's not telling himself a story about whether she'll like him or not. He's just going to go over there and find out for himself. He's also going to accept the fact of life that there's always going to be someone who is better than him at a certain skill, or at the very least, there's someone out there who he can learn from. And he's not going to let his ego and his sense of self-importance get in the way of actually learning from other people. As I said, the people who get better at game are the guys with no ego. Meanwhile, the guys with a big ego or a small ego, they end up making excuses for years and years and years and never really getting any better. So, I want you to take a moment right now to decide, right now in this moment, are you a guy with a big ego, a small ego, or no ego? If you've concluded that you have no ego, congratulations, you can leave the video. If you have conceded that you do tend to have a bit of a big ego and a small ego, and perhaps that is harming your dating life, stay tuned because I've got with you 5 practical exercises that you can do to help quieten your ego. Number 1, I want you to go out on the streets, in the shopping mall, wherever, go approach 10 women, a direct approach, tell them they look fantastic, try and swap numbers with the intention of taking them out on a date. That's a great way to crush a big ego because most likely you're not going to sleep with them all. Okay, so from that experience you can hopefully show yourself that you still have some way to go to improve as far as getting good with girls, and hopefully this inspires you to learn from your mistakes, improve, get better, attract better quality women in the future. If you have a small ego, I would still recommend you do that, and don't panic because I would predict that at least one of these 10 girls that you're going to approach is going to react better to your approach than you're probably thinking. And again, you can use that as motivation to learn from your mistakes, improve and get better over time. Tip 2 is to hang out with people who are more successful than you. As Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So it would make sense to spend as much of your time as you can with people who are more successful than you at the thing you want to be, right? Thing is, most guys actually choose not to do this because hanging out with people who are more successful than them is too painful. It shows their weaknesses. It highlights their weaknesses. They'd rather be the big fish in the small pond of friends who are less successful than them. So, go ahead and evaluate who are the 5 buddies who you're spending the most time with. Cut out the ones who are draining you and are not positive and are not excited and are not making moves to try and be more successful. Try and seek out people who are more successful in the field you want to be successful in. Spend time with them, learn from them, have fun. This will humble you and it will hopefully inspire you to get up to their level. Tip number 3 is to leave your comfort zone more often. By definition, a comfort zone exercise is something that makes you feel a little bit silly. I'd recommend doing a comfort zone exercise in public, in front of other people. This could be like a grand gesture, like the classic ones are to lay on the pavement for 1 minute, or to try and approach people with a sign that says free hugs. There's some classic ones. But it could even be something small like singing karaoke or practicing a new skill in front of other people. Basically anything that makes you feel a little bit silly, a little bit uncomfortable, that's going to humble you, that's going to help to quieten your ego. Tip number 4, and this one is quite difficult, is to ignore external validation. Now, external validation is pretty much what creates either a small ego or a big ego. A lot of guys with a small ego, they probably didn't get that validation when they was a child. Maybe they had like neglectful parents, or they were bullied at school. Maybe they had a childhood crush who crushed their heart. And these sorts of things, it can create trauma, especially in childhood. And that makes people want to go out to avoid criticism as an adult throughout their whole lives. Okay, now that's a great way to guarantee that you're not really going to achieve much with your life. Meanwhile, and this is less common, but also a big ego is pretty much crafted in childhood. Maybe you were spoiled as a child, or you were some sort of childhood celebrity or something, and you were never criticised. Well, the end result of that is the same, is that you cannot take criticism as an adult, and you will actually take steps to make sure that you don't get criticism. Again, that's a great way not to grow and not to reach your full potential. So either way, it's pretty clear that external validation and seeking it is really not great as far as if you want to get rid of your ego. Okay, so I would go ahead and take steps to just pretty much ignore what other people are saying about whatever you're trying to do. Now, this is a lot easier when you have like a big purposeful mission that fulfills you and something that you would do whether other people agreed that it was a good idea or not. Once you've got that, that's going to feel really fulfilling, and other people's opinions not so important, and again, really great for crushing your ego. Tip number 5 is to meditate. I swear that this tip is listed in any self-improvement video ever, because there are so many internal and external benefits to meditation. Now, what meditation is going to do is going to teach you how to live in the present moment. There's no past, there's no future, there's only the now, which means there is no past self or future self for you to create a narrative around. There's just the now, there's just what you want to do in this exact moment. And again, by definition, that's going to help you get rid of your ego. Bang, that's the video. I hope you liked these tips. If you did, you want to go ahead and smash the like button. Hope you enjoyed the video. My name's Joe, and I'll speak to you real soon.
Most of what the pickup community teaches you is completely unnecessary. The tricks, the lines, the techniques, sure, some of them are pretty clever, but none of them will help you get laid at all unless you have the fundamentals down. Can you open a conversation assertively without hesitation? Can you grab someone's attention and keep it? Can you speak passionately without filtering yourself? Are you funny? You have the balls to even try to flirt unashamedly with a woman, get physical, or take her home. These are the pillars of masculine behavior, and they're all you really need to attract amazing feminine women into your life. My book, Big Dick Energy, features 12 powerful exercises to help you summon your inner masculinity, and in doing so, unleash your natural charisma, bravery, and ability to go after whatever you want in life. This is the book to help you dominate, not only in dating, but also in business, fitness, and whatever else you're trying to achieve in 2022.